Welcome to Xhibition, an Xbox podcast, episode number 70. My name is Samuel Adams, and on today's show, we are talking about some big new games coming to Xbox Game Pass, including DEATHLOOP, which is a long time coming and a long-time PlayStation 5 exclusive. We're also talking about some big updates that are out now for Xbox consoles and for Windows 10 and 11 PCs that are boosting your gaming experience to make things even better. And of course, it would not be an episode of Xhibition without some Halo talk, and it looks like microtransactions are not coming to the Master Chief Collection. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. The Xbox September update rolled out last week, and with that update came a series of small tweaks and improvements to your Xbox experience. By no means should you expect to dive into your Xbox Series X, S, or Xbox One and see something entirely new, but you might notice a few small changes that ultimately I think are net benefits. These are good moves that were made by Microsoft. Jonathan Hildebrandt over on the Xbox Wire has a full list of everything added in the recent update, from the smallest additions to some pretty notable changes. First and foremost, if you have an Elite Series 2 controller, a longtime PC feature is finally coming to the console experience, and that is that you can change the color of the home button. Is that a big deal? No, in the grand scheme of things, it's not, but it is a nice addition to the Xbox accessories lineup, especially when we're talking about a premium piece of hardware like the Elite Series 2 controller. I mean, that's a pretty expensive controller, starting at $130 now with the core model and going all the way up to really $179.99. That's not cheap. So being able to change the color of the button, which again is a feature built into the controller, is a long time coming. And you have 16 million choices to choose from with an entire hue slider and entire saturation slider as well. You can completely customize this to fit your needs. On top of that, you might notice that the library looks a little bit different. This, of course, is where you go to your games and apps, and you can see the entire repertoire of games that you have access to. Now, at the top of that library, you see different filters for all games, owned games, Xbox Game Pass, EA Play, Xbox Live Gold, owned apps. These are all options you can choose from that help make it a little bit easier to navigate your Xbox experience. This, I think, is the biggest benefit from the entire Xbox September update. I own a good many games, but I have access to more games through Xbox Game Pass and EA Play and Xbox Live Gold. And so, being able to automatically filter in my library for those games takes out the additional step of going to the Game Pass app, navigating to EA Play games specifically. This makes it easier to see what you have at your disposal. This makes it easier to get a feel for your real collection, whether you're subscribed to Game Pass, whether you just have Gold, or whether you don't have either and just buy games. This is a big move forward, especially considering the tiles are a little bit smaller. It's just much more easy to navigate your experience through this new library design. Additionally, and this is a big step forward for the power users, you can now select default installation locations depending on the type of game you are installing. So if you're somebody who plays original Xbox games, 360 games, Xbox One games, and Xbox Series X and S games, you can now choose where to install those games by default. So if you have a lot of Xbox One games and you want to install those on an external hard drive, you can choose to automatically install that type of game on that drive rather than having to route it to the internal hard drive, or I should say internal SSD, on the Xbox Series X or S, or the expansion card that you can buy for an additional price. So this helps you stay organized, and it helps optimize the way your memory is used, so you don't have to juggle around Xbox One games, which are compatible on any drive, versus the Xbox Series X and S games, which you can only play on the internal drive, or again, the expansion card. Small improvement, but overall great step forward for the experience that is provided to players of Xbox. Then we have Party Chat Noise Suppression, which is now on Xbox One as well as Windows 11 and 10 PCs. As released on the Xbox Series X and S, this mitigates the interruptions you might have from background noise. Breathing, typing, air-conditioned noise, that kind of thing is no longer going to be a factor in your party chats on Xbox. You can toggle this option off if you would like on both Xbox One, Series X and S, and as well on Windows 11 and 10 PCs, but for the majority of users, this is probably going to lead to a much higher quality chat experience. Of course, with Discord integration now baked directly into Xbox, how often are people really going to be using party chats? Still nice to see the feature come to the service though. Then the Xbox Game Bar is getting a bit of a bump on Windows PCs, which brings us to the Windows 11 2022 update. This is the new controller bar. Your most recently played and installed games are just a button press away with the new controller bar. Basically, when you have an Xbox controller hooked up to Windows 11, you can go ahead, push the home button, and your new controller bar opens up where you can launch recently launched games as well as recently launched launchers themselves, like the Epic Games Store or Steam, directly from this bar that pops up. Graphics improvements are also on the way, with windowed games running DirectX 10 and 11 receiving dramatically improved display latency, auto HDR, and variable refresh rate. Previously, these were only available when running games in full screen. They've also released a new HDR calibration app and auto HDR support across a broader set of games, with additional enhancements coming to DirectX 12 Ultimate and direct storage support across more storage configurations, including RAID 0. In short, improving on a slew of features available now in the Windows 11 gaming experience. Then there's Microsoft Edge. They announced earlier this year that Edge was going to be basically the home for Xbox gaming news. You can launch Microsoft Edge and start up cloud games. That was all great. Now it is officially implemented. They write the new gaming homepage gets you right into the action and allows you to earn Microsoft rewards points as soon as you launch the browser, with personalized stories and easy access to Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta Library, including recently played games with your Xbox account logged in. Other features like the built-in clarity boost make gameplay from the cloud look sharper and clearer when playing on Microsoft Edge on Windows. In addition, efficiency mode improves gaming performance on Windows 11 and 10 by automatically reducing browser resource usage when a PC game is launched. These are all phenomenal improvements across the board, and I've got to say I'm pretty impressed with everything Microsoft has brought. Once again, these are not fundamental necessities for your Xbox gaming experience, but again, it's a selection of nice to haves. It's a good little sampling of what could come. These are small stepping stones towards something greater. I'm curious to think about the Xbox experience 2 to 3 years from now. Xbox is getting more seamless. Xbox is becoming a platform where people effortlessly can jump in and play their games no matter where they are through the cloud, through console, through PC, and the experience is immediately customized and high quality. I think going forward, one of the immediate needs that should be at the top of the list is a revamped sharing experience, a revamped editor, a revamped way to tweet out your gameplay clips, to maybe share to YouTube, that kind of thing. I think that is where Xbox is severely lacking, especially when you look at the main competition in the world of PlayStation with a fully fleshed out editor. Now, do we need something that in-depth? No, but when you bought Clipchamp last year at Microsoft, you should probably go ahead and implement that in some way in the Xbox world. But overall, these improvements are great across the board. I'm glad to see Xbox continuing to innovate and push the Xbox platform forward across PC, console, and cloud. If you've had a chance to dive in, I would love to hear what you think. Leave me a comment on YouTube or hit me up on Twitter and let me know what you think about the new Xbox September update or the Windows 11 2022 update. Speaking of big improvements, Microsoft has issued a major update to the Xbox DRM. If you don't know, this is digital rights management, and it effectively is a handshake between your console and Microsoft confirming that you do own the digital product you are trying to launch. Whether it be a Game Pass game or a digital game that you own, DRM has traditionally been an issue for people that tend to play offline. So while I might not have this problem in my day-to-day life, I can see where it would be an issue for someone that might take an Xbox Series S with them on a business trip, which is something I'll be doing in the near future. And so taking that and not having access to the internet could potentially pose an issue if you are trying to access any of your digital games. This, of course, makes sense if you can't play Halo Infinite online. Yes, you'll need an internet connection for that. But this becomes a bigger problem when we start talking about single-player games. So when it comes to Halo Infinite, I totally understand that I cannot play online when I don't have an internet connection. That makes perfect sense, no problems there. But why should I have to wait until I have an internet connection to dive in and play the campaign? Why should I have to wait until I have an internet connection to play any other single-player game? That's the question that a lot of people have had. And so earlier this week, IdleSloth84 over on Twitter, phenomenal follow for Xbox fans if you don't already follow them, tweeted out and said, FYI, you can now play your own Xbox games offline. And Neon Epiphany, Eden Marie, phenomenal member of the Xbox team, said, yes, this is true since the 2206 update. We examined DataSense Series X and S launch and determined the online compatibility check is not needed in the vast majority of cases for Xbox One discs. Some games may still need to be updated online after install to ensure the best experience. So, there isn't a definitive line in the sand as to what exactly has changed with the DRM, but it seems like Microsoft is actively trying to loosen up those DRM requirements to help you access your games without internet as frequently. Again, not indefinitely, which I think is a pretty good middle ground, but a good way to move forward. 343 is not going to be adding microtransactions to Halo the Master Chief Collection. This comes as a huge relief for many fans, including myself, who were very concerned when a blog post earlier this summer suggested that Spartan Points, the in-game earnable currency, would soon be purchasable to give players the option to buy whatever they wanted from the store if they were joining the game late, or if they had missed a cosmetic that they wanted to unlock a couple of years ago. If you don't know, there's a lot to unlock in the Master Chief Collection. We're talking armor coatings, weapon coatings, tons of stuff across every Halo game included in the collection. It turns into a pretty big pile of digital goods. And so, that requires a lot of time to grind and unlock. Instead of charging people for these points, 343 is going to be implementing some changes in the next few months to how often you get Spartan Points. Right now, as it stands today, after level 100, the earn rate for Spartan Points for leveling up your character drops significantly. In fact, the majority of people, like myself, that have played beyond level 100, just earn Spartan Points through completing weekly challenges in PvE and PvP, which is fine, and I've been doing that for quite some time, but it becomes very repetitive, and you kind of lose that carrot on the stick type of approach to playing a game and enjoying the multiplayer experience. So going forward, they're going to retroactively give people Spartan Points for the levels completed past level 100. On top of that, they're going to be changing the earn rate to make that more frequent, and they are bringing back double XP weekends, which basically means the classic multiplayer grind is coming back to Halo beyond level 100. That is a wonderful piece of news to share, and I was so happy to read that. But I will say, when it comes to microtransactions, I don't have a problem if they're implemented well, but when you announce that microtransactions are being considered for a game, and the basic way that the in-game point system works today was already broken, it felt kind of like a backhanded way to approach it, especially with Halo Infinite continuing to do what it's doing today. So, with all of these things being taken into consideration, great move from 343, and moving forward, I will absolutely continue playing more of the Master Chief Collection because I do want those points, and I cannot wait to see how many points I have when I log in once those changes are implemented and I get all those points that are owed to me, because I've put a lot of time into the Master Chief Collection. If you did not get a chance to, the Modern Warfare 2 open beta is going on right now on Xbox. And I don't mean the beta where you have to pre-order it to get access to it. This is fully open and ready for anyone to dive in. I played a couple of matches on my Xbox Series S, and I wanted to share my first impressions of the game itself. And I will say that as somebody who skipped Vanguard and who played a little bit of Black Ops Cold War, Modern Warfare 2 is bringing the best Call of Duty experience that I've played in recent years. Is this up to par with my memories of playing Call of Duty back in the day? No, not yet. I'm spending more time with it, Like I said, I've probably played about 1 or 2 hours of it in total. But my first impressions immediately show this game has a new type of gunplay that feels very different because the bullets in the game actually come out of the barrel of the gun rather than from the eyesight of the player themselves, which is traditionally how Call of Duty has approached gun velocity, the direction of the bullets, the way they shoot. It's changed for this that makes it feel much more realistic. It makes it feel much more grounded. And when I started playing Modern Warfare 2, it feels like a blend of Rainbow Six Siege in a way with Call of Duty, where there is a sense of realism to the shooting, a realism to the mechanics that still feels grounded in this kind of arcadey shooter approach, but that is different enough to show that Call of Duty has matured a bit. And I think that's really going to come through in the campaign. I think that's where this is really going to shine. But the time to kill is still incredibly high in my opinion. I think that it's very easy to die in this game, and camping I think is going to be very, very heavy. So we will see how time continues to change this game, how players continue to change this game. But Modern Warfare 2, as it stands right now, is my favorite Call of Duty experience that I've had in the last 3 years. Really, I could go all the way back to since the Modern Warfare remake, if you will, that was released in, I think, 2019. That's really whenever I spent a lot of time with a Call of Duty last. So, I have high hopes for this year. I am not pre-ordering, and I want to emphasize that. In the past, I have pre-ordered yearly Call of Duty releases. I don't feel the need to do that this time. I think that if you expect more Call of Duty, your expectations are going to be met. There is not a lot of change between previous Call of Duty games and this Call of Duty game. But if you're a big fan of that kind of loop, if you're a big fan of that kind of play style, then it's probably going to be right up your alley because it does feel and play like Call of Duty, but with a bit of a change that makes it feel just fresh enough to keep that palate cleansed a little bit, to make this a fresher feel than the majority of annualized releases that we've seen in the past. So those are my 2 cents on my first couple of hours. I'm going to be playing more of it through the weekend, and if I have any changes, I will let you all know either on a future episode of Xhibition or maybe in a YouTube short over on youtube.com/jampacksam. But I will say I'm excited for Call of Duty. I'll leave it at that. To round out today's show, we have a slew of new games that are coming to Xbox Game Pass, some of which are out now, including our headliner, DEATHLOOP, which is available now on cloud console and PC. If you have not played this game, you absolutely should. If you're a fan of Dishonored, this is going to be right up your alley. It feels very stealthy, but you can approach things in a haphazard kind of way. Go in guns blazing, see what happens. At the end of the day, death is a loop, time is a loop. You wake up on the beach, you do it all over again. I am loving my time with this game. I'm about 2 or 3 hours into it. I've gotten through the first real day where you kind of understand what's happening and you start to understand how you move forward in the story, but I'm loving the cadence of the game. It feels very good, and I also love the world itself. The dialogue between Juliana and Colt, the way that story is told again through the world, which of course, it's an arcane game, so you can kind of expect that, but it's done expertly well. I fully intend on spending a ton of time with DEATHLOOP, and as a matter of fact, after I finish this podcast, I'm going to go spend some more time with it here in a moment. But we also have Hard Space Shipbreaker, which is out on cloud and Xbox Series X and S. Then we have Spiderheck on console and PC, Beacon Pines on cloud, console, and PC, and Slime Rancher 2 game preview on cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S, all of which are available now. And of course, Slime Rancher was a big one. That, of course, is a very good, feel-good game. You just suck up jelly beans in this little receptacle. Big fan of how laid back that one is. On September the 27th, Moonscars is coming to cloud console and PC alongside Grounded's full release, finally, from the team at Obsidian. That one is, again, a long time coming. It's been in early access for a couple of years now. Let's Build a Zoo comes on September the 29th to cloud console and PC alongside Valheim game preview on PC. And Paw Patrol Grand Prix drops on September the 30th for the kiddos on cloud console and PC as well. For the touch control experience in the cloud, you have Grounded getting added, Danganronpa V5, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, Road 96, Shadowrun Returns, Dragonfall and Hong Kong, This War of Mine, and Torment Tides of Numenera? I think I said that correctly. Probably not. And then you have some games leaving, Dirt 4, Dirt Rally, that kind of thing. You can find the full list on the Xbox Wire. Great additions so far. Deathloop, of course, is a big one. We've known that one to be coming for quite some time, but Valheim, Slime Rancher 2, these are some big ones, and Moonscars, of course, gets an honorable mention from me. I'm very interested in checking that one out. Overall, great lineup for September with more on the way for October and beyond. The holidays are always a very exciting time for Game Pass, especially when it comes to perks to get players back into the game, so stay tuned to the Xbox Wire and, of course, Xhibition for more information each and every week. And that rounds out this week's episode of Xhibition, an Xbox podcast. If you enjoy the show, you like what you see or what you hear, be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, add the show to your podcast feed of choice, and get it delivered right to you each and every Sunday on youtube.com/jampacksam and on podcast services around the world. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon, and keep on playing.